All right, everybody. I've got another very special guest, a returning guest. It's been a while, but Adam Freeman is
Hey,
back on
that's
the
me.
show. Welcome, man.
Oh, thank you, Chris. This is it's lovely to be back. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I gotta say, was a big fan of what you guys were doing at Bad Ideas. Still love what those guys are doing.
Yeah.
But since you left, and I mean, seems like you haven't been doing much, but
Yeah, I mostly just
no,
kick back and relax. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to do a whole lot in my day.
no, I absolutely love what you guys are doing at Prana. I think it's a much needed service, and
Thank you.
yeah, just how did Prana come about after you kind of stepping away from Bad Idea?
Well, honestly, so Prana was something that was working in the background the entire time I was at Bad Idea. I started Prana officially when I stepped away from Valiant in 2018. Um, it was just honestly, it started off as just a way for me to kind of give an LLC kind of umbrella over working for other people.
Hmm.
And so the entire time I worked at Bad Idea, I was, officially they were paying Prana and Prana was paying me. And the same for a while I was working at Comic Hub. But yeah, so Prana has been sort of the umbrella for me for a long time. And it's really just, it started off as just a way for me to put all of the things that I'm interested in, all the things I'm working on under the same corporate structure. It wasn't until I stepped away from Bad Idea that I realized that we finally had all the pieces in place to start doing some of the things that I've been very interested in and curious about, and started giving it using it as a platform to jump off into things like the bestseller list or the Prana Publishers or Comics the Magazine. So it's always been there, but it's always been kind of my kind of side hustle, and now it's really the day to day. So yeah,
For
yeah.
for those out there, and for my audience, I feel like it's probably most of them, to be fair. What do you guys do?
Man, good question. I
Or
mean,
what's the mission statement? I guess would be a
what is the
better.
mission statement? Personally, I believe that there's two things true about comics. One, I believe that comic shops are this incredibly valuable resource that deserves to be promoted and protected with whatever we can give them. And two, I think that the quality of the products that go into the shop should be the only barrier of entry. So those are really kind of the two biggest pieces. Everything else is really about how do we create tools and structures and information flow for the entire industry so that those two things can be true, right? So what do we do? We are at our core, we're a publishing services and consulting company. So we do a lot for a lot of different publishers. Currently, I think our client list is at something like 15, I think, all day. So a lot of different people that we're working with. It's under several headings. Some of it is just consulting. Like we just did a run with Gary Vaynerchuk and his VFriends crowd. We've worked for governments that are putting together publishing plans that they want to begin creating comics that will work inside of the marketplace. But primarily these days, our paying work falls under a few little headers. Crowdfunding. We have upcoming campaigns with some of the biggest names in comics, some people who are returning comics after being away for a while. We do what is called Prana Publishers, which is I call it publishing aggregator. So we take publishers that could not get distribution into comic shops alone, and we have deals with the bigger distributors that comic shops go to. So we have 3 different distributors we have deals with, and that we then solicit their books. And we have got, I think we're actively on 4 different publishers there, and we're working on 3 more. 4 more? Yeah. And I think we're going to have a new one each month this year, actually, is what's lining up to look like. Then we also do, I should mention when I say, consulting and that sort of thing, we also help build a publisher for this company. The Future Is. Actually, the name of the company is Rekka Comics, who's a division of a cybersecurity company called Black Hills Information Security. And we essentially publish for them. We publish comics for them. So we make The Future Is. We work with the freelancers. We make sure all the documents are right. We work, scripts and, art and everything. We do everything for them to create a comic book publisher. And, we work with their team. Obviously, there's a lot of give and take. They do a lot on their side. But, so we do that. We also are working on a couple other things. The biggest piece I think you wanted to talk about today is Comics the Magazine, which is in their background. But, hey, you got one. Like it. So Comics the Magazine #1 was on shelves on Wednesday the 11th. And if we do everything right, knock wood, we should be having a new issue on the first Wednesday of every month in comic shops. Until you and I, we can't, maybe we're just too blind to read comics anymore. I don't know. I'm not sure when we're going to end this thing. We'll see. But yeah.
I love that you.
Oh, wait! I almost forgot. We also do a bunch of content. We do Comic Industry Insiders, which is a podcast where I interview folks like yourself who are behind the scenes of the comic industry, and we learn what we can from them, what you can learn about your business or career or comics. We also do Comic Industry Insiders Live, which is a live webcast every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, where we talk through that week's headlines and bring in special guests, and we talk about, once again, is how do we learn about what the industry is doing right now. And then part of what we do there is we report on something that is in our newsletter, which is called the Prana Bullet. It goes out every Friday, right about lunchtime usually, and it has a full list of all the headlines we think that are going to affect the comic book industry going forward. And then our biggest feature is something called the Prana Bestseller List. We work with 2 different POS companies that were able to use their data to tell you what is actually selling in comic shops right now. It is the biggest cohort of comic shops, biggest cohort of consumers. I think we're at 600 comic shops and over 80,000 consumers that we're using to show you what's selling in comic shops. And we're going to be rolling out more and more data as that goes along. Okay, there you go. I think that's everything we do in a week. Yeah.
And there's so much I want to pick at there. Obviously, Comics the Magazine is the big headline for this interview, but
sure.
First, thank you for doing the bestsellers list. I one of the things about, I was always kind of the mind that Diamond wasn't the greatest thing because of the monopoly over the industry. But one of the things that was great about it for somebody as nerdy as me is that I loved seeing who the bestsellers were every week, what books were going, everything. And you guys bringing that back and giving me that dopamine hit once again has been phenomenal, because I think it's important to know, from my point of view as somebody that's talking to creators and commenting on the industry, what people are reading, because it might not be what I'm reading, and follow trends and see what people are interested in. And I think it's important for creators too to know.
Yeah, and it's through that we're able to do things in like Comics the Magazine. There's this feature that in it called the Pull Box Power Rankings. So you can see right there, double page spread, where we take all of the books that are being subscribed to and special ordered for in all of the POS systems that we're dealing with, and we use that to show who are the fans actually interested in. So when the Diamond List had a lot of problems, right? Yes. One of the problems was they never actually released hard data. The data that you saw was extrapolated by a couple of different companies, Comicron and ICV2. Now, they have since recently said that they were getting more refined data than it looked like, but as a publisher, I never saw it to be accurate. So, for me, it was always an extrapolation. We can debate that till the cows come home. That's super nerdy stuff that you're probably never going to have to be interested in. But what we're doing in the Prana Bestsellers List is we're actually reporting on what's selling in the stores. So what you see on that ranking that we do every week is what is called sell through. So what is selling to fans in comic shops right now. And that's a big distinction because publishers we can listen. I know all the tricks. I'm good at the tricks. Like I can sell exclusive covers to a guy who's only going to sell 20 or 30 of them. I can sell him 2,000 copies. He's going to make his money because I know how many he's going to sell. But for me, that's 2,000 copies. I can say I sold. I didn't sell 2,000 copies to fans. I sold 20 or 30. So this will show that.
That was always the debate because Marvel would be on top of those lists all the time. And everybody would always say, well, they got all the variant covers and they do all this and that and all the games that Marvel plays.
And it's true. Marvel does win a big portion of this. This is actually really interesting, Chris, is that I've done a lot of studying of this. I haven't done it much this year because we've been kind of busy. But in the past, I've done it. And Marvel did always win because they had so many SKUs, stock keeping units, so different items that they were selling, meaning all those different covers. But even when you normalized for the number of SKUs, they were still outselling everybody. But they were I think they were outselling because they were always, the shelves were always full, right?
Flooding the market, yeah.
Exactly. So all you ever saw was Marvel, so you would buy Marvel. So, not to mention they were doing really good books. But these days, DC is obviously killing. So that is no question at all.
Yeah, that's the ebbs and flows of the industry. As a Marvel fan, even I say, like, DC's been killing it recently. And I look forward to Chip Zdarsky bringing Marvel back to its glory days. I mean,
hey, if anybody can do it, my buddy Chip, he can make that happen. Absolutely. Yeah.
And another thing that you do that I've been talking to I talk to creators, whether they work for Marvel, Image, or, the indie people working on their Kickstarter campaigns that aspire to be those people one day,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've been talking to them a lot about is something that Massive Indies has been doing with their entry into the Lunar catalog. And it sounds like you guys are doing something similar. And I've been saying a lot of people, I think a lot of those are going to pop up over the next couple of years because it's going to be the new way to get into comic shops. Because let's be honest, getting to a publisher is not necessarily the end all be all anymore. Sometimes staying independent and creating your own thing and getting it into the shops and doing the dirty work on the ground floor is the best way to go about your career.
Yeah. Yeah, we do Prana Publishers, which is in its structure very similar to Massive Indies. I would say that where we differ is that we build systems to promote the books that we put in. Massive Indies, he's Michael Calero and his crew. They're a pretty small shop, and they do a good job of bringing as many people in as possible. We intentionally slow that down, so we only put out one new publisher per month, so that we can promote them and be excited about them, and hopefully get the retailers excited about them, and the fans. But as to what you're talking about, I said this Diamond went bankrupt in January of essentially last year, right? And in the October before that, I wrote this piece that said for what's called Comics Experience, which is a Discord that's based on this kind of school that Andy Schmidt and his crew have done for people who want to be in comics. And I wrote this piece that essentially said, now is the time to get together, right? We know Diamond's in trouble. We don't know what's going to happen, but we know Diamond's in trouble. We know that there are going to be tariffs. We don't know that's going to affect, but we know that means prices are going to go up. We know all these things are going to happen. So while, yes, you could sell your book to a publisher, it's almost better if you can put together a collective so that you guys can control your own destinies. And so you can negotiate with printers better. You can take all of your stuff to publishers or to distributors. And what we've seen actually is things like Power Pulp have come up, where they are essentially creating their own distributor by bandying together. Bandying? That's not quite a right word. Whatever. They're getting together and they're making their own structure that allows them to distribute to comic shops and give a decent discount and do the things properly that a distributor should do. I think there's more room for those. I think that as smaller publishers get together, they could be doing some of this work, but yeah, it is a service that we provide, and we provide it because we built a sales and marketing system, right? All of those, the podcast, the live show, the newsletter, all of our social media, all of it is designed really to celebrate comics, but also to show off the comics that we think need to be shown off. And a lot of times that's our clients. So that's what we do. That's a little bit different from them. I will say, going back into something else that you said, because man, if you ever want to talk, don't put me on your show. But I will say that I talk to, personally, I probably talk to somewhere between 3 to 5 small publishers per week. right? And I usually, if you have interest in it and you want 15, 30 minutes of my time, I will give that, because I want to see what you're doing and what your challenges are so that we can help kind of build around those challenges. A lot of the folks that are crying about not having distribution right now are folks that are going to have a hard time finding sales in the direct market anyway. Let's be real clear, right? Okay. They should be on Kickstarter. They should be selling direct to consumer. They should be building their customer lists, their fan lists. They should be doing that work so that when they go to the direct market, when they go to the comic shops, they're not just going to fall flat on their face and then get kicked right back out of the catalog. So I think that a lot of people need to use this time to develop the product, make it as good as it can get. When it is to the place that they can sell it, now is the time to go to distribution. When you developed your fan list, you've developed your audience, you bring that to say, hey, go to the comic shop, pick up my new book, right? That's how you're going to see success in the direct market. Not everybody does. I'm not going to say deserves distribution, but not everybody is ready for distribution. And it's almost worse to go in and really fall flat on your face than it is to go in from a position of strength. There you go. That's my speech for the day.
Yeah, you bring up Power Pulp. I've talked to those guys once or twice and just followed them and love what they're doing. And it also reminds me of friends of mine in that space have come together recently in Summit Comics. I don't know if you've seen what they're doing over the Kickstarter
I have. I've seen Summit. Yeah. I know Travis over there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and similar idea. It's a collective. Now they're doing something a little bit different where they're creating a shared world to create stories inside together, much like a Marvel or DC does.
Right.
But same idea, like bring everybody together and let's do this as a unit as opposed to our individual efforts. And I agree. I think that's going to be more and more important.
Yeah, I mean, now is the time for coalition building. You know, get a group together of like-minded people and go find your market together, right? Your market might not ever be comic shops. There are plenty of people that are doing incredible work just in crowdfunding. Now, it's really difficult to build a brand. It's really difficult to get the world at large interested in your IP if it isn't in comic shops, if it doesn't have that kind of distribution. But you can build a solid business. There's a guy we've been talking to, Impound Comics, right? This guy and his partner, they have put together, I think they're at somewhere just over 500,000 followers on TikTok. They've got like just huge followings on YouTube and every social media platform. They have not done any crowdfunding, and yet they support themselves. This guy and his partner, Brent, they support themselves just on the sales of their single issue comics through social media. Now, we don't live in a world, we haven't lived in a world until now where that's possible, right? But now it is possible. And so you can build that audience and you can build your platform and you can build the work you're proud of and the work that's stuck in your head that you want to get out. You can do that without waiting on a gatekeeper like Diamond anymore. You don't have to. That's my point. So there you go.
That's kind of the Webtoons model. Like put it out for free basically, and then down the line.
Sure. Absolutely. There's a lot of that. I would say that many people really should start there. I'm a big fan of this marketer and writer, a man named Seth Godin. And one of the things he says is nobody's stopping you from writing a book, right? Write the book, and then give it to 10 friends. And if those 10 friends like it enough that they give it to their friends, you know you have something. And that's the key, right? It's just about creating and about getting it out there and iterating, learning how to build those skills, right? I got my first job, I was a retailer for the longest time, even won an award as a retailer, and I thought I understood publishing. I got my first job in publishing. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to iterate and I had to learn those lessons the hard way. Most of us, that's all we can do is just learn those lessons the hard way.
Well, and everybody out there, check out Comic Book Industry Insiders because it's a great podcast if you like behind the scenes talk about comics world. You. But one of the things you guys say on there, which makes me so happy, because I feel like I've been saying it into a void for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
Is that, so to back up a little bit, you feel like we're entering into like kind of a boom for our industry. And part of that is because of this generation coming up that you've dubbed, and I've said in the past, is the Dogman generation.
That's right.
Dogman was one of the most best-selling comics in the industry for a long time, and I've been saying we need to pay attention to that because eventually those kids will grow up to write the Dark Knight of Dogman.
Oh man, I am here for that, Chris. Man, when the Dark Knight of Dogman shows up, oh, I'm first in line. Let's go. Yeah.
So for you, seeing more of what the comic shops are doing on a grander scale than what I do, what makes you say that generation is finally ready to come in and read comics as opposed to like manga or maybe a different medium altogether?
Well, I think they've already gotten through manga. The way I read that generation is they started with Dogman. For the longest time, I've been at this. I'm older than you are, Chris. I'm sure of it. I got to tell you, I've been working in comics in one form or fashion since 1993. Right, I got a job working in a comic book shop, and I kind of worked my way up. For the first, let's say, 2 decades of that time in working in comics, all I would hear is we need to get kids interested in comics. We have to drive down the cover prices. We have to get them back into newsstands. We got to get it into the 7-Elevens. Turns out we didn't need to do any of that shit. Excuse me. Can I say shit on your show?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We didn't need to do any of that. What we needed to do was we needed to get Bone to the Scholastic catalog. And then get Dogman and Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Smile, Raina Telgemeier's entire line. We had to get that in there. Why? Because that taught kids, it was in a place where they already were, and it taught them to speak comics natively. We no longer had to teach them how to speak comics. Because we're already starting to all of the comics on the shelves these days are master's degrees in speaking comics, and we just needed them to learn how panel progressions worked. So they did that, and then they got into their teenage years, and then manga was natural for them. They just got it. Reading right to left, no big deal, right? Because anime is everywhere. So now these kids they've graduated from Dogman and Bone and Smile, and they've gone into manga. They've gone into One Piece and Chainsaw Man, and they've essentially, kind of bathed in this. For them, media was never not comics. And so now those kids have jobs, right? They have young families. They've started careers. They've come out of college. Or maybe they didn't go to college. Man, we could get into how the economics of that works if you want. But, whatever
went to a nice
it is.
trade school.
Yeah, exactly. They went to trade school. So now those kids all have disposable income and nobody telling them not to go buy stuff. Well, along comes, I will say, one of the master strokes of anything. DC Comics, let's talk about them. Why are they the biggest deal in comics right now? It's 2 things.
Joshua Williamson.
Exactly. It's Scott Snyder and the Absolute Universe, right? Scott, God bless him, he saw this coming from way off and did an incredible job with it. He made Batman something that these manga kids wanted, right? Gave them a big fucking axe that came off of his chest with big spikes. Like, come on. This guy feels like he comes out of manga. That's one. The other, the compact line. They took all of these comics that we've spent decades and decades developing and celebrating and understanding and marketing, and then put them in a format that these manga kids wanted. In the same format that Bone and Smile and Dogman were all in. Of course, this is what comics is for them.
This is Marvel, but their compact line.
Yeah. Right? We're all stealing it. This is, I just showed the future is. This is that line. This is that trade trim size. So yeah, I mean, that's how all this happened. And when we talk about why is this working, look, I'm making the prediction. If our economy doesn't completely crash, if we're not in the middle of a Great Depression this time next year, which who knows, possible, I think we're seeing this for the next decade. I think comics have nowhere to go but up for the next decade. Why? Because we have this entire generation that's going to come into their own. They're all going to have jobs. They're going to have families. And they're going to teach their kids that comics are great. Right? So I think we have this for a long, long time. Yeah.
Well, I've been saying for a while now, people, quote unquote normies.
All right.
People who
sure.
don't read comics.
Muggles. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
I always hear like, yeah, but I don't really like superheroes, which
Great.
take apart the fact that they do love superheroes because they're all watching the MCU. But
Yeah.
but I always say to them, I was like, but that's not comics. Like that's a good chunk of comics. Don't get me wrong. You and I, we love Batman, we love Daredevil, all these characters. But I had a female friend who was in a group who they did every month they read a book and had a book club.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, these were like kind of the fantasy, smutty books that I'm noticing that a lot of women in my life are reading now. And I was like, and I handed her this book, and I was like, I think you would like this comic. Now, it doesn't really go on the smutty side of it, but has a romance vibe to it. It's got sci-fi fantasy to it. That book is Saga, Adam.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should read this and just let me know what you think. And she
got
read
a breast
it.
on the first cover. How do you, yeah.
She read this book and she took it to her group, and they did it for one of their monthly visits. And she goes, everybody loved it. And I'm like, yes, this is comics. Like there's everything. Yes, I love my Flight in Tights, but I'm reading a lot of Conan the Barbarian. I'm reading, a book like Escape. That's a book about a bear and a bat fighting each other. Like, it's more than that. And I think if we got that message out too to a lot of these people, more and more people would fall in love with the medium. Maybe not become Wednesday warriors like myself, or maybe you are or were at one point, but at least getting them in the shops and getting them to buy stuff like they are with manga. And
Absolutely.
I think, once again, I'm kind of stealing this from you, but I think we have kindred souls in this way. They're coming in for the Absolute Universe, and I'm hoping that they look over to the right and see, oh, look at this book. It's Dork. That looks cool. Or it's, the future is effed. That looks cool.
Yeah. I think that, I think we're already seeing that. I think the future is, which, by the way, those asterisks can change. They change with every issue. Yes. It's not just effed.
I've been arguing with my local retailer because I'm good friends with them, and I had Fred Van Lante on the show to talk about it. Yeah. And he told me the same thing. And every week on his email where he lists the book, he puts the future is fucked. And I'm like, it's not that. That's not what it says.
Who is this? Name names. Let me go after him. Let's talk to this guy. I don't know who your local is, but we'll talk about it after.
I just changed it on my. I just looked at it on the email he sent out today too. I was like, there it is.
Oh, there's the guy. All right. Well, I think that there's there's reason to believe that's already happening, right? Look what's happening with Dorked, right? Or Dork, right? We're starting to see these, especially Image is starting to see this shift. And I've been saying this to creators. They're like, yeah, I get it. Comic shops are up 20-30%. Yeah. Batman, Absolute Batman selling 1 million copies, whatever. But where are my sales? I keep saying they're coming. We all went through this, right? For me, it started with Batman as well. I got involved in, I was a speculator kid. Right, I wanted to buy something for $3 and sell it for $10. I wanted that, but then I got involved in the comics themselves, and next thing I know, I became a Wednesday warrior. And next thing I know, I started working at a comic shop. Then I bought it, and then blah 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 blah. But what I'm saying is that you kind of have to slowly cook the frog. You can't just drop it into boiling water and expect it to start, buying, Cerebus. You need to get it to a place where that frog is, I don't know. I'm going to push that metaphor too far, but, we have to get them to a place where they say, oh, okay, I like this. Well, what else has Scott Snyder done? Right? What else has Nick Dragotta done? And then they start down that path, and then they discover Dark Knight Returns, and whoa, even it's still to this day looks like it's done 20 years in the future, right? We're still gonna get through, they have to go through those steps, and I think we're starting to see them go through those steps, and we're starting to see people come in the back door, right? So they're not coming in for Absolute Batman, they're coming in for Ignition, Murder Podcast. How many people are brand new to comic shops getting Murder Podcasts? We're talking about the future is I know 100% the future is bringing people who've never been into comic shops and bringing them there once a month. Once they're there, you get an opportunity to show them other work that maybe Fred has done, right? You get to show them other work that is sci-fi, that is kind of futuristic, or that is technically understandable. All of those things are available to them in the comic shops. We just have to get them in the door. And I think they're coming in the door right now, like in a way that they have not done the entire time I've been at this. And I'm an old man, Chris. I've been doing this a long time. This time right now is unique.
So something else you said when you were talking about what Prana does, and it hits me because I listened to an interview recently, and I'm not going to name names on this one, but people should be able to find the interview. It's public. But this creator said that they will no longer work with Publisher X because that publisher did next to no advertising or promotion for their book. They were expected to do it as a creator. Now, from where I stand, I feel like that's kind of what the industry has become, and it's hard to fight against that. Yeah. But you said earlier that Prana, part of what they do, what you guys do, is helping to promote the people you're working with and get them all that. What are you guys doing in that realm for promotion to get people out there and to get these books sold?
Well, so most of it is B2B, meaning business to business. So we do, the podcast and the live show. Those are both very focused on the comic book industry. Mm-hmm. When you look at our chat log of the people at the live show, it's nearly all retailers. And I know nearly all of them by name because that's what I've been doing for the last 3 decades. But it's all retailers. So when we present this new book, like we do an interview with the creator of that new book, say Source Point is one of our clients. When they have a new book coming up to FOC, we'll do a short interview with them to promote to the retailers who are watching that show. Right? It'll also be in our newsletter. And we always do a long form interview with each new client so that we can introduce them to the market. So if you're looking just for a business case of why we do the podcast, that's one of them, right? Is we talk to so many people in the comics industry that when we present you one of our clients, we're showing you that, look, this is not somebody who just agreed to pay us. This is somebody we're excited to show you. So we do a lot of that. And also, we do a lot of consulting with those publishers. They're still independent companies that it's up to them to handle their own PR and their own work, but we will help them place some of those stories. Occasionally, depending on the program, we'll help them figure out like the mechanics of it, like if it's some sort of incentive or something, or they need to meet new printers, or they just need to understand how FOC works, or if they need to buy UPC and get it structured properly. All those things we do. So it's for us, it's a bit more white glove than just a listing service. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're so selective about who we will take on, because we want to make sure that we can give the best attention we can to each one of them. One of my favorites is this Adriano, whose last name I can't remember right now, but he owns Pesto Comics. This is a brand that started off in Kickstarters. He's had dozens of successful Kickstarters, has built his own business just on Kickstarter, making these comics. His first books are coming to market through Prana Publishers. And I'm actually interviewing him tomorrow for the podcast, so it's on my mind. But he's built this really wonderful business around comic book publishing and just needs that kind of extra step forward. And so we're able to help provide that.
Okay. So not necessarily you're going out and getting ad space for them or anything like that, but more directing them in ways.
Well, we made them a magazine, Chris. They can get advertising in it. And I will say, Prana Publishers, you get the best possible rate on advertising and Comics the Magazine. Our best in what we call most favored nation goes to our Prana Publishers. So, yeah.
Well, and so I guess we can kind of switch over to Comics the Magazine, because that was one thing when I was reading through it. I was like, I was wondering what the ads were going to be like throughout it. Like, because This is how nerdy I am, Adam. I was worried about the ads. And what I found interesting is, Recca Comics was in there with The Future Is series. But you had a few comic shops that advertised in there and a few other things. There was a SpongeBob ad in there, which made me laugh immediately, because I'm like, oh, these guys, like, that's got to be a big advertising bump.
Yeah, well, that was from IDW. They have a new SpongeBob book coming up, so they wanted to use that. Yeah,
and you also had what seemed like smaller ad spaces where it was like a quarter of a page or half a page and stuff like that. How important was putting the ads in the book, honestly? Like getting that part of it.
There is no magazine without advertising. And you want to know the moment that the comics nearly put itself out of business? It was the moment when they decided to stop focusing on advertising and start gaining revenue through cover price. When they started increasing the cover price so that they didn't have to sell ads anymore. That was when comics publishing started to lose relevance. Because the page count shrunk. We got down to this, like, we're okay with, well, this is 48 pages, but, you know, grab
22 pages usually.
We got okay with 20 pages of story. For like $4 or $5, we became okay with that. You could shift that model if all of those comics were selling advertising. You'd shift that model. I'll tell you that story. I've told it a few times. Anybody who hasn't heard it, skip ahead 5 minutes, and I promise to do it real tight. So all of this began with I work in. You know, when I left Bad Idea, I wanted to really focus in on Prana and make it something that could help a lot of different people. And so we took on a bunch of new projects. And so whenever you start taking on new projects, like the bestseller list or, you know, the podcast or any of those things, people start coming to you with like, all right, you really want to solve some problems. Here's a problem you should solve. And so each one of them had some version of, we need Wizard. And I would kept saying, well, one, Wizard was problematic even in its heyday, but two, I get what you're saying, but that takes like a lot of money to build something like that. And I don't have a lot of money. You know, I'm just this regular guy. So you'd have to have an investor and you'd have to have somebody obsessed with making this work. And so I would have this, and they would all say, yeah, that's you. And I would go, no, that's not me. I'm busy. I got other things going on. So I was having this conversation with several different people, and these are all people that are like movers and shakers in our industry. So people you would respect when they say, you know what we need is this. And one of them said to me, I remember, he said that we just need something that just sells comics. We need something that just sells comics, not all the bullshit. We don't need to talk about the industry and who's getting fired and who's moving over here. We don't need the drama. We just want to sell something that sells comics. And I'm like, I get it, man. It's not me. But you know who it is? And at this point, I'm like desperate to say, please go talk to that guy. You mentioned him earlier, Chip Zdarsky. So Chip started this thing. I've only got the last issue here right next to me, but Zdarsky Comic News, ZCN. He started this thing as a sort of a marketing goof, right? He put out this thing called Zdarsky Comic News, and it was just about him. It was like a spoof on a magazine, and all he did was report on the stuff he's doing. Well, in this first issue, he sold ads, and he gave it away. Now, I think he still lost some money as a marketing expense. And for the next several issues, it was like that. He would sell some ads, but, you know, he wasn't really breaking even. He was just barely covering the printing cost. So when I saw him that year, if everybody's telling me this would have been a year ago, last October. I saw him at New York Comic Con. I said, hey, man, I really love what you're doing with that thing. Everybody keeps telling me we should have a magazine, and you're doing it. It should scale. And he goes, it's funny you say that. I really need help. He started describing the help, and I realized, okay, I can do that part. Dealing with printers and distributors and advertisers. Well, I'd never dealt with advertisers before, but they're all publishers that I've worked with. Okay, I could do that. So I did, and we made it into a profitable venture for him in the first month, and then it continued to be profitable through the end when he decided later that year to be done. Anyway, he comes to us and says, look, everything's popping off at Marvel. I gotta step away. I can't do this anymore. And so we thought of a couple ways possibly we could keep it going. And in the end, he goes, I just can't. You can have the idea if you want it. It's all yours. Well, at this point, what I realized was the hardest part of making a magazine is selling advertising, because it doesn't work without advertising. The model doesn't work. This 48-page book that I put out would have to be $8 instead of $2.99. So how do we do that? Well, we now have figured it out. So let's see. And so we went through, started talking to some people, put together a group that I felt like could do it. Some of them came to me not knowing this was going on, and I realized, oh, you're the right guy for this. Let me bring you over. Some of them were like, we went out to a small list of designers, and Rico Renzi was on that, and he agreed. He loved the idea. Joe Keating and Joe is the editor-in-chief. There's another version of this story where Jason Blanchard, who started The Future Is, also did what we call socially engineered us into making him a Wizard magazine, which is why he bought an ad in the first one. So anyway, we got together, we realized we could do this. We had the skills, it was, my dad has a barn. Let's throw a show. And so far, knock wood, it's working. We are legitimately, it's just basically 5 or 6 of us, 7 if you count the guys coming over from Prana, who just wanted this thing to exist. We don't have a ton of money in the bank. We don't have a big corporation backing us. We just wanted this thing to exist, and we wanted it to just sell comics, which is what it does.
And do you open up that advertising space to pretty much anybody? Like, could Guy doing a Kickstarter tomorrow call you up and be like, hey, however much it costs for a half page to get
I believe that
there?
I think that there are Kickstarters in here, actually. I will say that there were a couple of retailers who told me, if you have any Kickstarter ads in there, I'm not buying it, and they do buy it. So, I know who you are. Let's see. Did we get any? I know we had some in ZCN, but I don't. Maybe. Well, no. Yeah, here's one. So yeah, when there are Kickstarters in here, absolutely. Yeah, anybody. I mean, honestly, the plan was to build a platform that you can sell comics in. And so you should buy advertising. Here's what I'll tell you. You want to know the best value for advertising dollar? Anywhere. And I'm talking about, I've done the analysis on this. Facebook ads, Reddit ads, whatever. Billboards, does not matter. The single best value for selling a comic right now, today, is $20 minimum per $1 per word. You can advertise in our classified section in Comics the Magazine and reach 100,000 comics fans. $20.
That's not bad.
Tell me where you can make it. Tell me where $20 will get you access to that audience. Can't.
$20 won't even get me a meal at Five Guys. So
exactly.
I know this, Adam, because I had Five Guys the other day, and it was more than $20.
And you'll spend that $20 on Five Guys, but that $20 you something like this that's actually going to increase the value of your business. Yeah. Now I will say, Chris, the biggest challenge is reminding people that print advertising is real, because we got so used to seeing immediate response from advertising. There's something special about sitting down with something like this that makes you pay attention, and it's how you build brands.
And it's something I've talked to a few people behind the scenes, because there's one publisher I know of that still solicits advertisements for their comics, and that's Alterna. They're the only one out there that I'm aware of that I think it's like, it doesn't matter how much it is, but it's X amount of dollars and anybody can put an ad in their book. And I've said that to some people on Kickstarter that I know, or maybe doing something a little bit more independent at a different publisher. I'm like, is it worth a shot? I mean, because even if it's, let's say it's Kickstarter books, let's say it's Charlie Stickney who does gangbuster numbers. He maybe hits a couple thousand people. Like, what's an extra page for? I don't know what the print cost is. What's an extra page for $50 for someone to advertise in that book to catch a couple thousand comic readers?
Well, you're right. It is about print cost at that point, because especially when you're selling under 1,000 copies. Listen, we don't need to get into the mechanics of it unless this is that kind of show. But yeah, I mean, it's, if you're selling 2,000 copies or more, you should be able to find room for ad space in there. Yeah. And it should be additive to the experience. One of the things I think I keep suggesting to people, I've yet to have even a client take us up on it, is let's sell ads in the books, right? As a tier, as a secret tier, as an add-on, right? Let's sell an ad in the book. People will go through and do friends and family raising rounds for their new businesses, where they go out and say, hey, listen, if you can just chip in $1,000, I'll give you X percentage of this business that I'm trying to create from scratch. And most of the time it's just, I've done it. You go, dude, just take the money, go do your thing. You should be selling them ads. It should be like every high school football program in the world is supported by advertising. Why is it not comics? This is my personal pet theory, is that we should all be 20 to even 50% ads. I think that should be how publications go. But I know there are going to be a lot of people in your audience who are going to that's probably what's going to get the comments, is this guy's nuts. I don't want 30% ads. Yeah.
You know what? Like, we all kind of hate ads, but at the same time, they're there for a reason.
Do we? If you sing a song from your childhood, is it more likely to be a song that was on the top 40, or is it more likely to be an ad for a burger joint?
So I say that because a lot of the podcasts I listen to, they'll have like the insert ads, and
they should.
Some of those, yeah, they should. And I wish I could get more of them so I can make more money off this, but some of them are annoying. But I agree with you. My girlfriend laughs all the time because I used to work in the beverage industry, so I was delivering to all these stores all the time. And I don't know if you have a Speedway where you are.
Oh, I know Speedway, yeah.
But Speedway used to have a jingle whenever you walked in. And to this day, I walk into Speedway and I sing that jingle.
Of course you do. Yeah. Because advertising works, man. We hate it, but we love it. You can't get it out of your brain. If it's done right, it's culture. If it's done wrong, it's annoying.
And
you know
what, too? You buy those old books, especially like the books from the 90s, the 80s and 90s.
Dude.
And those ads for the old Sega Genesis games, or the ad for, random movie that's coming out in there, it's so cool. The retro nostalgia feel you get from it is awesome.
We have I had this we buy, because we're always looking at what they used to do. We always have these Wizard magazines floating around, but I have lots of other magazines floating around. But like, I always look at the back page ad. Somebody paid extra for this, right? This is what, Wizard September 99. What number is this? I don't know. Anyway, it's we've got Brave and the Bold on the back. DC paid real money for that ad. Yeah. Right? And that's going to be forever stuck. That's forever going to be a real thing in our lives. You look at something, I'm just grabbing stuff randomly around my desk here. I've got Daredevil 187, right? What is this? October 82, something like that. This is old Frank Miller Daredevil. Look at that cover, by the way. Dude, come on. And on the back, look at that Star Wars video game cartridge ad. You know you want that now. You want that, looking at that ad. You want to go buy that right now. Yeah, that's the way it should be. Like, these things they're culture, but they're also ephemeral. They came in paper and staples. They're designed to be periodicals, and periodicals are funded by advertising because they're timely. If I put my ad into I'm sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox about ads. I don't know if this is what you're willing to do.
Oh, no, I'm loving this ad talk. So.
Okay, cool. If I put an ad in the back of, Catcher in the Rye, right? Let's say I go to the publisher of Catcher in the Rye, which I think is probably public domain, but let's just stick with it anyway. I go to them, and I know you're doing a new printing of Catcher in the Rye. I want to advertise my movie that's coming out. Right? It's not Catcher in the Rye, but it'll hit that audience. Well, you don't know when somebody's going to read that. That thing's going to be around forever. These things were always designed to be periodical. They're designed to hit you on an exact month and show you the thing you want to see in that exact month. So if you're doing single issues and you're not doing a trade paperback, it's timed. It's like a timed segment of the culture. So you should be showing them what the culture looks like in that timed segment. There you go. That's my pitch. Also, classified ads. Why have you not bought a classified ad yet, Chris? It's $20. What's going on, man?
We'll talk later, all right? I had this idea. I say I had this idea like last year, but I think we all had this idea last year. Something similar where I was like, man, if we brought back something like Wizard, but it doesn't work today to do a news magazine because we have the internet. So, but if we talk to some creators and put some stuff in there and, had some comics in there, you know, a page or two. Do like what Shonen Jump's doing, like do a couple pages. Then down the line, we can take those pages and put them together into a big thing and sell that and blah blah. Blah. And then, you know, my buddy Blake comes along and tells me, "Oh, I'm working on this thing," and he shows me like just the cover, and I'm like, "Damn, they're doing the thing that I wanted."
They stole my idea.
They stole it, and I'm suing. That's why I brought you here, to let you know. I'm handing you the... No, and what I loved was when I was flipping through it, because I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually read everything yet.
That's
but
fine. It's
I was
pretty
flipping
dense.
through it to kind of get the idea of what you guys were doing the other day.
Yeah.
And you did exactly that. It's not news, but at the same time, it is news because you sit down with the creative team of Absolute Batman for the main cover story, and you kind of talk with them, and like it's almost an interview section, and then it goes into like, I think the next page was about the Catwoman that's coming out here soon. And you do, even though you say it's like it's ephemeral and it's meant to come and go, this is a resource now that people should hold on to for the future, to talk about or to look back on things and learn something from. And I guess my question for all that is, was that kind of the plan, to like make it more something that could be here for years and years and years?
I mean, I will say that we're all of us, everybody who works on this magazine has been doing this for a while, right? This is none of our first jobs. And so we look back on things that we've done, and some of the things we're proud of, and some of the things we're hoping that people don't ever find in a dollar bin. But for the most part, you learn that, you know, the things that you do last, right? The things that you do must last. And so we have certain touchstones for this content that for the content that's in the book that we really do believe in. One is just being unapologetically enthusiastic about comics, right? Our genuine enthusiasm for comics is never going to be it's never going to be cynical. And I personally believe that cynicism, I think we've moved beyond cynicism. It doesn't work anymore. Being cynical is just boring at this point because, yeah, the world is shit. We all see it every day. You cannot pick up this device that is with you 24 hours a day without it reminding you that the world is shit. So instead of creating something that says, well, this part of the world also has shit in it, why don't we just say, no, this part of the world, this is all the stuff that we like about it. And so that's what Comics and Magazine is going to be about. And I will say that when I have read a lot of magazines, I'm a Gen Xer, so I read a lot of magazines growing up. And a lot of them really stuck with me. The things that I loved about this were the moments that I realized would have been light bulb moments for me at 25 or 15, right? Where I hear creators talking to each other and go, oh, that's why these things work the way they work. Right? Or I hear like one of my favorite sections is the bit in the Absolute Batman interview where we talk to the letterer, and he is talking about how he structured the word balloons and the font that he chose. Like that stuff I would have just been nuts for. Right? I mean, that would have just been a light bulb moment for me that somebody is thinking that intensely about the lettering. So I think that when we're selecting what goes into the magazine, when deciding which bits to keep and which bits to throw out, it's those two things. Is it genuinely enthusiastic about comics? And is it filling in the gaps for people? Because there are plenty of them. Even now, one of the things that's really interesting about journalism now is that most of it happens over the internet, which means you could go for 10,000 words every day and it would never eat up enough memory to be a problem. And so if someone was really interested, they could sit down and read 10,000 words. Mm-hmm. But you don't. No, when you want to read 10,000 words, what do? You sit down with something printed. Mm-hmm. So that's the key, is that we can dig deep because people will sit and read it and digest it and understand it, as opposed to, well, that's slightly boring, scroll. You don't do that with a magazine. You like, oh, this has me. And so that's what we're trying to build. And
when you were reaching out to these creators, and I feel like I know the answer, but
They all told us to go away. They were not interested. No, none of them like to talk about themselves. No.
Yeah, were they? I mean, because you've got the biggest creative team in the world right now in this book, and then think in issue 2, you've got the second biggest creative team in the world coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they were very enthusiastic.
Just wait till you see number 3. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we can talk about number 3 in a little bit because I know you did announce the cover. But,
that's right. Yeah.
But I'm assuming that these creators are really enthusiastic about the idea of bringing this kind of thing back.
Absolutely. I mean, we all came up with this sort of celebration of our culture and getting into it. Do you have a cat there? Is that what?
Yeah, this is my cat. She is she needs attention all the time. So
yeah, I can tell. That's totally fine. So yeah, I will. The creators that we've talked to, they have been universally thrilled to get involved. Like that, and I will tell you, we have this one creator that I'm so excited to tell you about, but I can't yet. So he's, but again, just like this. Here's one of my favorite stories about this. We went to Comics Pro, and we had this number 1 printed early so that we could go to the trade organization annual meeting of the trade organization for comic book retailers, which is called Comics Pro. Happens every year in February, and this year it was in Glendale, California.
Anyone that didn't listen, go back a few episodes. I talked with Prana employee Blake Morgan about it. So
awesome! Oh my god, seeing Blake there was just one of the highlights of my year because he was just so excited to be around, be in the room. Oh man, God, love you, Blake. Anyway,
I was so jealous of him the whole time. I'm like, damn. I was sitting there. That was my jealous. My jealous moment of like, it should have been me the whole time. Should have been me. But no, Blake deserves it 100%. It was amazing.
He truly does. Blake's buzz was real because he was just buzzed the entire time just on being so high about being in the room with these people. Anyway, all this to say, we do the meeting and it was incredible. The response was incredible. We knew it was going to be good. We didn't realize how good it was going to be. We didn't even do a presentation. We didn't do what's called a round table. We didn't do any of that. And yet we were still like mobbed everywhere we went about this thing. So anyway, all this to say, we're there. I end up, because of the snowstorm here in New York, I end up stuck in LA for a couple more days. So we go to the Skirball Museum where they had the Jack Kirby exhibit. And we go and we're having a good time walking around. There's some other weird stuff I'm not going to get into that happened that day, but all things that were like, oh, light bulb moment. We're in the right path. This is all working. But one of my favorites, and this is a total name drop. I promise I don't usually do this, but it fits so well. Brian K. Vaughan is there, and he is there just watching the exhibit. So we're just chatting with him about the magazine, and we show it to him. We hand him a copy, and he says, "Oh, thank God." Now, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. I talked about Bad Idea. I did Valiant. I, had an Eisner Award-winning comic book shop. I've done a lot of stuff in this career that people, especially if you're just coming up in comics, you're like, that guy's done some stuff. I have, but never have I made something that makes somebody like Brian K. Vaughan say, "Oh, thank God." Like that was just it. All right, we have something. This is lightning. Let's go. Yeah, there you go. That's that. So yes is the answer. Creators love it.
Yes. And with that, so we kind of teased it, but it kind of leads into my next question, which issue 3. So issue 2 is going to be Battle Beast, everybody. But issue 3 was just announced through, I believe, comicbook.com. Oh, Comic Book Resources you did it through.
Screen Rant, actually.
Screen Rant. Okay.
The announcement.
Third time's a charm. You're doing TMNT for the 3rd issue. How... After getting Absolute Batman, like the biggest book in the world right now, how much stress did it add to the team to be like, the cover's got to be, it's got to be huge.
Dude. Well, for one thing, we have Rico Renzi, who is our head designer, and he is just, I don't throw the word genius around a lot. He is straight up a genius. As far as design and color and aesthetic goes, there is nobody I trust more with what we're doing here. The fact that issue 1, Absolute Batman, the fact that he essentially took Nick Dragota's art and then broke it down to its components so that you can see it all in the same image, it ends up being a metaphor for the story that we break down Batman, right? Same for Battle Beast in issue 2. And there's something coming up with that issue 2. I can't tell you about yet. Never mind. It's coming. You'll know it when you see it. But issue 3, we talked to them. We knew we wanted turtles. We knew that we loved turtles, and we wanted that to be, if we're going to come out with a right hook after those first two jabs, it would be turtles. And so we talked to IDW, and there were a couple things that were floated around. Hopefully we can get that art out, because I think he did an incredible job. But they said to us, hey, this is all great, but how about this piece that Kevin Eastman just found, that Peter Laird penciled and that Eastman finished, and now Rico Renzi gets to put his polish on. Well, okay, fine. Twist my arm. I suppose we'll have an Eastman and Laird Ninja Turtles piece for our 3rd issue. Fine. Yeah, dude. I mean, excitement doesn't even begin to describe it. It's this is I don't know if we're not talking about that yet. There's something. Blake is actually going to be in the issue with Turtles in a way that I'm so excited about, but I don't think I can talk about it yet, so I won't. Okay, never mind.
He's in a sexy turtle costume, isn't he? Just
I thought we had to sign NDAs before we started this, Chris. Why would you go revealing that kind of thing? Yeah.
Oh, speaking of NDAs, since you're on the show, you can reveal issue 4 here, so I can get some buzz. So what's the cover for issue 4? I mean,
I'm sorry. Did you get that? Did you hearing that?
Everybody get
Something's
that
going
one?
wrong here.
No, I love. I mean, like I said, you have the biggest comic team in the world right now, and then issue 2, the second biggest, and then you've got this legendary independent comic book that people don't realize. Like, I think a lot of people see it as this big IP, and it is. It's huge. We all grew up on it. We love it.
Sure.
That's the indie dream right there. That series. And I think that is a huge get. And I love the piece. I look forward. I don't think you announced who the interview is, but it's either. I'm really hoping it's Gene Nguyen Liang, because I love his work, and I love what he's doing with the Turtles. So don't have to say it, but I'm hoping. Just really excited about
Chris.
What
You
guys
should
are doing.
get excited. This is a good one. This is. I mean,
Yeah.
I've already seen the early pieces that are coming in, and it's I don't know. Every issue of this is designed to do what you and I are doing right now. It's to get you excited about comics, right? That's just it. It should be the thing that gets you excited about comics. And I think if we're doing it right, we're going to keep doing that. And we're going to keep people wanting even more than we're able to give them, and we'll keep trying. So
And then kind of the other thing I brought up that was, part of my original plan that you stole. You guys got a couple like mini comics and 1-page comics in here, which look like a lot of fun. But I gotta say, getting Chew to come back, how awesome was that when you got that? Like,
that was such big news. And I want it stated, they wrote in some guy named Adam Freeman. They spelt it differently. It is not actually me, but they did not ask them, and I actually tried to get it out of it, whatever. Listen, John Layman and Rob Guillory are 2 of the most incredible talents in our industry, and the fact that they created something called Chew, and it's been and we've been able to kind of, bring that back to a new audience and allow people to rediscover it, I think is something we're so incredibly proud of. I'll tell you something even more I'm even more proud of is this kind of got those guys back together, and they started talking, and well, it's not yet, but very soon you're going to hear about them coming back together as a team in a big launch that we're part of. Actually, we're going to be helping them out with a piece of it. So I'm crazy excited. I love those guys so dearly. And the Michael Sweater page where his comic strips, like one of the things, we did a 0 issue that we were just showing around New York Comic Con and Baltimore Comic Con, just to kind of give people an idea of what it would look like. And his strip, his 1-page strip in there was such a highlight that said, like, this is not just us pontificating about what we like and don't like. No, this is going to be a celebration of what comics can be, and these kinds of gags are exactly what it can be. So, yeah.
Did you ever have the thought, with everything else that you guys do at Prana, that you could do this almost as like every issue has an ongoing story in the comic?
Sure. Well, Chew is so far that's what they're doing. Issue 2 is I can't talk about it yet. Issue 2 will continue this on, and there will be a reason for that for issue 1 strip. It will be tied together. It will be a continuation. So you're gonna dig it, man. It's gonna be more of this. And we have a long history and magazines that do this kind of thing. In fact, in many ways, that's how comics got started. Was they started printing the strips that were in newspapers and just printing them in single issues. Granted, they were all gangsters just trying to like keep printer presses going, but whatever. Like that's how comic books started in this world. So yeah.
So another thing that happens in this industry a lot is number 1 comes out gangbusters. We do a lot of good numbers. Number 2, not so much.
Yeah.
How are your pre-sales looking for number 2?
Well, we've got pre-sales of 100,000 copies, and I can tell you that it was something like 3/4, if not more, of the comic shops in the world ordered it, which again, biggest hit I've ever been part of. So we just decided to send free copies to every other store. So we can proudly say that every store in the world that sells comics should have gotten at least 1 copy of Comics the Magazine. So that's a big number to be proud of.
Yeah.
Issue 2, you're right. Normally you see, we use the word attrition a lot in single issue comics in floppies. When you drop from issue 1 to issue 2, it's usually because everybody wants to pick up issue 1. They want to be part of the new thing, right? You see usually 40 to 60% is not uncommon, a drop from issue 1 to issue 2. And we were prepared for that. Now, granted, I'll be honest, I thought we were going to sell 25,000 copies of issue 1. I didn't think we were going to sell 100,000. I thought 25 was like my ambitious goal. So that was a little bit of a surprise. So when our sales came in for issue 2 and they were 80,000 copies. Now, granted, I want to put that in context for you. Because of a logistical hiccup, we actually were on shelves. Issue 1 was on shelves on the 11th as opposed to the 4th, which is originally supposed to be on. So we had set up what's called FOC, which is the final order cutoff for retailers. We had set it up so that they would have that issue's sales, and then they could place their order for number 2 right after that. Well, because of the mix-up, they had to place their order for number 2 before issue 1 came in. 80,000 copies. That's just a bet on how much we needed it. And I think it's, most of them had seen it already, either through Comics Pro or, kind of some people get it a little early. So they were just based on the product alone. They went in, 20% attrition never happens in our industry. So we'll fingers crossed we can keep that going, man. Let's go.
I'll tell you, in my local community, I've seen excitement for it. Yeah. People excited to read it. And then I sent Blake a picture. I'll tell him to send it your way. But I was at my local comic shop, and I'm friends with my local comic shop owners. Good guy. We play D&D together, all that stuff. But his counter is, he's got like knickknacks up there, dice, magic cards, and little things you pick up at the last before you get your books and everything. Rarely, if ever, have I seen anything other than those things up there. Comics the Magazine was right by his register, man. Right there.
That's what it's. That's what.
And he was excited. And he was excited about it too. Like, I've seen so much excitement in the community about it, in my local community, which is so cool because it's rare that we're all excited about the same thing. So
One of my favorite features of the magazine, and it's going to continue on because I'm the one who personally has to go through it and do it, is this order form. The very back page, before you get to the very back cover, is a list of everything that we've talked about in that magazine. Even if it's just used by one of the creators who said, I was thinking about this when we created that. Like, we list whatever that this was inside of that. And so the goal is when you go in, you get inspired by reading the book and you go take that order form to your retailer and say, I want that same inspiration. Or, this book sounds so great. I want it. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is designed to just increase that, not just awareness, but like excitement. I keep using that word excitement because that's really at the end of the day what this is about. It's about a way of teaching people and reminding people how much fun this industry is. It should be fun. And that's, you want a mission statement, it's there, it's right there. This should be fun.
You're right. I try on the show a lot to talk about things that we love, things that we enjoy.
Yes.
Drama comes up.
Sure.
We talk about some rough conversations every so often, but at the end of the day, it's all about fun. If we're not having fun, what are we doing here?
If you're not having fun making it, if you're not having fun selling it, if you're not having fun buying it, man, go do something else. It's comic books. You could, if you want to be all morose and gnashing of teeth and, gatekeeping and grumpy, go do something where that's actually necessary, right? Don't do it inside of comics. Comics is fun. We should be fun. We should be having a good time.
And really the last thing I want to tell you before we kind of wrap everything up here, because you've been so generous with your time. Thank you for making it comic book size. Thank you. I do have a magazine box because I'm a Conan guy, so of course I have Savage Swords of Conan.
Maybe you bought a distillery book at some point, right?
I bought a few distillery books.
Yeah,
Chip has a few on there,
Yeah,
bought some of his.
Yeah.
But then I hate magazines. I hate it so much. And I look forward to when issue 26 comes out. You sell me the magazine short box.
Yeah. Oh, that's coming. 26, you're right, because that's when we'll have enough to fill the box.
Yep.
Chris, there you go. This idea I'm actually stealing from you right now in real time. We both have the same idea for a magazine. But
you know what? If you do it, just send me one, and we're good.
That's the deal. If I forget, you remind me, and you get one. That's 100%.
So, anything else really about the magazine you want people to walk away from this conversation with?
Just to remember the spirit of it, I think, no matter what. Right? Even if you don't spend your $3 or if your comics retailer doesn't give you a free copy, that also was shocking to me. We'd set it up so that retailers would either make a lot of money on it or would be able to give them away. But man, I think most of them actually gave away most of their copies, if not all. I think if you don't get Comics the Magazine, right? Let's say you're not near enough to a comic shop and you don't want a mail order and whatever, for whatever reason. If you don't do that, if you are, you don't go to a local comic shop on a regular basis, but you still love comics, I would say that if I have one ask of everyone, it's that the spirit of this is just a love of our medium. And so celebrate the things you love. Use your voice to raise up the things that you love and not tear down the things that you hate. Because there's just so little of the first and so much of the latter, and the things that you love deserve to be celebrated. They need your voice. The things that you hate, we all probably hate them too, right? And if they haven't been fixed yet, it's because either somebody is trying to actively not fix them, or they just can't be. So instead, use your work time to fix things and make things better, but use your playtime, use your life, use your energy to just celebrate the things you love and the people you love. And I think if we are all doing that, this wouldn't be so remarkable, and the world would be a lot better place.
I absolutely love that.
Man, did I bring that down or what?
No, I love it. It's everything I've tried to do. I mean,
good.
Positivity over negativity every time.
100%. 100%.
Do you? So I know you guys got Comics and Magazine. That's the big thing that we're talking about. You guys are doing the podcast. That's Comic Book Industry Insiders. Everybody should check that out.
New one every Thursday. I should know what we have coming.
And the
out
live stream also comes out as a podcast.
Yeah. So thank God we have Blake, because I would not be able to keep all this in my head.
So I'm pretty sure Comic Book Industry Insiders comes out twice a week.
It does. So
Yeah.
Comic Book Industry Insiders, the long form podcast, comes out every Thursday, both through our YouTube channel and through your podcasting platform of choice. Comic Industry Insiders comes out every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube and a few other platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're working on some more. Actually, after the first of the month, we're going to be able to access even more of those. And then I believe it's the next day. If it's not the next day, it's the next week. Blake and I have been trying to get it running, and I don't know if it's actually going yet. But we run an audio version of that on your favorite podcasting platform. So we do the live show on Tuesday too, and then on Wednesday, the audio version of either that week's or the week after or week before drops. I don't really know right this second. I apologize.
Good.
So there you go. Those, again, available on all podcasting platforms. Then if you go to pranadm.com, The Bullet is a free newsletter. I want to stress that. Granted, it does clutter your inbox along with everything else, and if your inbox is anything like mine, you're going to have to go digging for it, but it's there every Friday, and inside of it's going to encapsulate all this big stuff that's happened in the comics industry that week and give you the bestseller list, both a market share report of who's up, who's down week to week, but also a full list of all the books that are selling inside of comic shops. And the biggest surprise for me, Chris, was that we're seeing, especially books like Absolute and books like Dork and the books that are hot, we're seeing them on that list week after week after week, because people aren't just limiting themselves to the first week anymore. They're coming back and they're getting excited, and the retailers are doing the thing they're supposed to be doing and restocking and continuing that excitement. So it's really an incredible time to be selling comics. It's an incredible time to be making them. And I couldn't be more grateful to the people who show up and to help us do that. Yeah.
So definitely check out all that, everybody. And Adam, do you do any social media you want people to follow? Does Prana have a specific one that you would prefer they follow?
Prana DM, a couple places is Prana DMS, depending on the social media platform. I think we try and hit them all. I'm not on them all personally. I generally am on Facebook as Adam Freeman, Adam, which was the name my mother gave me, and then ATOM on LinkedIn, which is the name that the internet gave me, and then Adam Bang Freeman in a couple different places. I don't know, if you really want to follow what I say, really, if you follow Prana, you'll probably see what I'm talking about anyway. But if you really want Old Man Shouts at Sky, feel free to follow me on those others as well.
And everybody, I'll link down below to a few of Adam's works, mostly Piranha's stuff, for you guys to check out, because definitely the newsletter is great. The podcast I listen to, it's a lot of fun. Thank you. You should definitely see if your local comic shop has any issues of Comic the Magazine left, because I bet they're all sold out. But, you might get lucky. There's 100,000 of them out there, so...
I'm hearing from a lot of shops. I have one guy who lives in LA who I know, who keeps sending me pictures of, he goes into a shop and wipes them out. Like, he just keeps buying whatever's left because he's giving them away to his business friends, saying, look at this, look what's happening. So, I'm not saying you should go to your local comic shop and buy everything they'll let you buy and then give it away to your friends. But if you want to be like him, maybe you should. Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
So everybody check all those out. And Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure once again having you. And,
absolutely my pleasure.
We'll definitely down the line, when you hit 200,000 sales, have to talk again.
Let's go. I've got I have a little post-it, actually it's a board, a comics board with my goal written on it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's right, legitimately, as I'm looking at you, it's 6 inches above that, and I keep that in mind every day, because our goal is to get this out to as many people as possible so they can love comics as much as you and I do, buddy.
Great way to end it.
Let's go.